of the, oh, thank you. Should probably do that first. We'll call this meeting of the Dunn County Traffic and Safety and Emergency Medical Services Committee to order on Friday, March 17th, 2023. Can we have a call of the roll? See who's with us today. Do you have that roll, Patty, or should we just?
Patty, you're muted.
I have the roll.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Patty. Okay. Next up is approval of the minutes from the December 16th, 2022 meeting. Can I get a motion to approve those minutes? Got a motion by Rick Oleg and a second.
Second,
Who was that?
that is Travis Mayer.
Oh, thank you, Travis. Any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes from last meeting signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Do we have any public comment? Patty, anything that you've seen come in?
I see David from the town of Peru.
Yes, good morning. Thanks for allowing me to join today. I have no comments as of today.
Thank you, David. Thank you, Patty.
You bet.
Okay, so now we will move on to the reports from the Traffic Safety Committee first. And first up is DOT Traffic Engineer Chad Hines.
All right, good morning, everybody. I'll just kind of go through what we've got on the docket here for the summer for construction. On Highway 25 from Red Cedar River to 20th Avenue, we got a little bit of guardrail we got to finish up from that project we did last year. There's a culvert that's kind of washing out the shoulder there down by the ton of Dunn shops there. That's supposed to be done sometime this spring. I haven't heard anything on that yet. On Highway 12, we got the Wilson Creek tributary box culvert replacement. That's just north of Fleet Farm, north of the interstate there. We're going to detour Highway 12 using Highway 128 to 29 to 25. We'll also revamp the I-94 alternate route as well. That's going to go 128 down to 29 and to 25. Right now, it's looking like they're going to start next week clearing trees on that. And then sometime kind of weather dependent here, that first week of April, then they'll close it down and start the actual culvert work. There's a June 30th completion date on that project. Next, we have Highway 79, the Coon Creek and the Clack Creek bridge replacements. Those are north of 12, kind of south of J, that first few miles there, north of 12. That's supposed to start sometime after July 6th. Once we get US Highway 12 back open, because that's going to be part of the detour route for that project. The detour for 79 will be Highway 12 to 25 to 170. Then the last project we got is the City of Menominee local bill project. The mill and overlay on 21st Avenue from 25 over to 9th Street, and then from 5th Street down at Sisters Court all the way up to 21st Avenue. It's a 4-inch mill and resurface, road closed, local traffic only. Don't have a schedule on that one yet. That'll be like a 25 working day project, so fairly short. That's really all I got. I don't have any other safety things to bring up at this meeting at this time. Anybody have any questions for me?
Anybody questions for Chad? I don't see anything, Chad. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks.
All right. Up next is Department of Transportation Law Enforcement Liaison Rick Oleg.
Good morning. I sent out the presentation. Hopefully everybody got it. If not, maybe Patty can re-email it. Did you get it, Patty? Okay. I'll just go over a couple of things in there. One is the statewide fatal numbers as of yesterday. This year so far, 69 fatalities compared to 96 last year at the same time. Seems like quite a few less, but keep in mind the 69 is based on what preliminary reports are sent in by law enforcement, and some of them don't send them in like they're supposed to. So that's the daily report that's supposed to be sent in the same day or same shift as the fatality. Looking at countywide, overall crashes were up for 2022 in the county, but fatalities were down significantly from 6 to 2. And also injuries were about the same. There's also a new database dashboard that we're working on. I put some examples of it up here. It is not live for anyone to use yet, but it will be on community maps as soon as we can get the approval for the software. But basically, at a glance, you can take a look at comparing the year 2022 to 2021, and it gives you numbers on the left side, and then on the right side, it shows you whether you are up or down. So if we compare 22 to 21, we see obviously fatals are down quite a bit. Serious injury crashes are down, but overall crashes were up about 10%. What I like about this is it's at a glance gives you some ideas, and you can actually break it down by municipality. Distracted driving was up a little bit. Impaired driving was down 17%. And then I took a look at the 5-year, because you can either do 1, 3, or a 5-year comparison. And that meaning that over the average of 5 years compared to 2022, where are you at? And your fatals are down 66%. When you start looking at the 5-year average, distracted driving is down 26%. And if you remember, that's one of the things we've been talking about for the past 2 years is how bad the distracted driving is getting. And actually aggressive driving is down 15% in 22. So, maybe we're getting over some of this reckless driving we saw during COVID. It does indicate though your pedestrian crashes are up significantly, as well as motorcycle and bicycle crashes. Now, what it looks like significantly, the numbers in the county are small, so the percentage looks quite a bit higher. If you have 8 in 1 year and the average is 5, that really looks like a huge jump when it's really only 3. Not that any of them is a number that we want, but when you're talking about a couple hundred crashes, the percentages really jump. There's also been a couple of changes to predictive analytics. When you run the report, by default, it optimizes by injury severity, meaning that a fatal crash carries more weight than an injury crash, which carries more weight than a property damage crash. That can be a little bit deceiving when you look at it for any counties that have a smaller number of crashes. So what I would say is if you're going to use that, or when you use that, run it with the injury severity and then uncheck that and run it again, because when your numbers are smaller, it's not necessarily the severity of the crash as it is the location of the crash. Because as we all know, sometimes you'll pull up in a crash and look at it and at first glance know that somebody has to be seriously injured or dead, and you walk up and they're walking around. So sometimes it's a matter of 5 miles an hour, or it's a matter of 6 inches one way or the other. So that's one of the changes that was made. They also have added in, if you did additional flag filters, winter road. That simply pulls from the road condition at the time of the crash. It doesn't say it's a factor in the crash. It just says that on the crash report, law enforcement listed the road condition as ice, slush, or snow. Not that it was a factor, but just that that's how the roadway was versus it being, clear or wet. So you can take a look at where the crash is happening, where the road is icy or slushy or snow covered. A lot of the highway departments are using that to see if for some reason, let's say on Highway 12, you'd be seeing a bunch of crashes that involve the road being slippery. Now you can take a look at, what time are these crashes happening, and maybe your heavy traffic is starting at 5 o'clock, but your plow doesn't get there till 5:30. Some agencies are looking at adjusting their routes based on that. So that is just another informational thing that's out there. there's a community maps training / meeting coming up next Wednesday from 1 to 2. It's open to anybody. You do have to register for it. And I believe the email was sent out. Patty, did you get that one also a couple days ago? If you could forward that off to everyone. It's free. It's an hour long. Usually we have anywhere between 80 and 100 people that attend. They go over some of the new changes to community maps. They do actually work on it live. And then they ask about changes that agencies would like to see. That's actually where the road conditions came from. So we had highway departments asking for that. The traffic safety dates are listed there. Click it or ticket coming up again in May. And then impaired driving in August and December. The traffic safety thing for this month is VIN checks and recalls. It's free. You click on the NHTSA link that's listed here, or you just Google NHTSA recalls. Put your VIN number in there and it'll list any recalls for your vehicle. There's a huge number of vehicles out there that are involved in crashes that actually have open or pending vehicle recalls. So it's something we're trying to get out there for everybody. There's some legislative updates. They've expanded or clarified what a highway maintenance or construction area is, and it includes when they're out there doing roadside cleanup, like these crews that are out cleaning up the garbage and stuff. And the reason for that is it enhances the penalties for anything that happens during that time. There's also some movement that actually passed the Assembly's Criminal Justice and Public Safety Committee that increasing the penalties for reckless driving, and also adding in the ability to impound a vehicle involved in reckless driving. And then there's also a push for change in the bail conditions. A lot of the law changes that are going to be coming up will not be listed on the legislative update because they're part of the budget bill. So for instance, the push to change the seatbelt fine, failure to wear a seatbelt, they're pushing to make that $25. That won't be a separate legislative hearing. That's through the budget process. So anything that affects either positively or negatively on the budget won't be in this list and won't have a separate hearing. It'll be part of the budget. Same thing with the elimination of the driver examiner testing. If they don't fund the position, then that'll be privatized. And there's a lot of other states that already do that, where the state does not do the driver testing. It's done by private companies. So those are the things that I have. If there's any questions, shoot me an email or give me a call.
Thank you, Rick. Really appreciate the presentation and all the slides. It's very helpful. I have a question. Where can you find the predictive analytics where you can play with those numbers? What's the website?
That's on Community Maps. So if you just Google Community Maps Wisconsin,
Okay.
and then to get that, you'll have to have a login and password. So anybody that's on the Traffic Safety Commission interested in that, let me know. It is somewhat restricted because once you have access to that, you also have access to the actual crash reports. And the concern with that is that you now have access to people's personal cell phone numbers, their birth dates, their driver's license numbers, stuff like that. So they do kind of vet that a little bit. We're trying to work on an area where you can't get the crash report, but you can get everything else. But that hasn't happened yet. But if you're interested in that, let me know and I can get you the link.
Okay, thank you, Rick. Up next is Railroad, and I don't see Mike Marks on the call. And so next we will have Highway Safety Coordinator, Scott McRoberts.
I've actually replaced Scott McRoberts. Scott has
Oh, that's right.
retired. So
Thanks,
I
Travis.
am the new captain for the sheriff's office. The sheriff's office handled 90 crashes since the last meeting. 30 of those were multi-vehicle crashes. 60 single vehicle crashes, and 17 of those had injuries. We had no fatalities that we have investigated since the last time. Of those injury crashes, though, there were 24 people hurt in those crashes. The other thing that I was asked to bring up at the meeting is the intersection of County Highway H and 85. We don't have many bad crashes there, but we have people continuing to go through that stop sign and end up in the ditch on the other side. Be an intersection to look at because we're probably seconds away from a major crash, depending on when the vehicle goes through. Most of those never get reported. It's just found that there's new tracks off into the ditch. It's a pretty gradual ditch on the other side, so there's a lot of times not damage. So it's not gonna populate into any of the crash data.
Question on that, Travis, is that just more in the winter months or all year?
That's all year. Seems like people just don't realize there's an intersection coming up there or something. I'm not sure what their problem is, but Chief Deputy comes through there every day and he's picking up pieces of vehicles or license plates and stuff on a very regular basis. So yes, they bring that up again.
You know, that intersection's wide open. You can see. I don't know what the problem is there either. It's only 5 miles from my house, so I see it quite often too, and it doesn't make any sense to me either.
I don't have anything else besides that, other than we will be participating in the speed grants again this summer for speed enforcement.
All right, thank you, Captain Mayor. Up next is Highway Department. Dustin, do you have anything?
Yeah, I'll just go through our list of county construction projects that we are looking at completing this summer. We are continuing to finalize our County Road B project. It's a 2-mile stretch from 1330th Avenue to Sand Creek. We will be completing that as soon as we are able to break ground in the early May or late April, depending on the weather. Then we will be completing a second phase of County Road Z, just south of Downsville, from County Road C to 90th Avenue. That's a 3-mile stretch of roadway. That road will be shut down during the construction phase and a detour implemented. We will be looking at probably starting that sometime in June or July. And then we are also going to do a portion of County Road Q and W just south of Downing. A little 1.5-mile stretch of road there. There is currently some real estate going on. We are looking at and doing improvements to the intersection of Q and W. It's currently it's a T configuration currently, which it's not supposed to be. That's how people usually treat it. So we are making a change to the curve to lessen some impacts there and confusion. So we're looking at completing that in probably the early fall time due to the real estate acquisition at this time. And then last but not least, we are going to be doing a 3-mile stretch of County Road B from Packard Drive to Double B. We all know that is a very rough road in the wintertime. It is the heaviest traveled road in Dunn County for our county system. So we are looking at completing that sometime this summer. That will most likely be a contracted job due to some funding that is available, cost share funding with the DOT. And obviously, I just want to reiterate, we were all kind of planning on doing our portion of County Road B from 1229 to just north of the railroad tracks, which unfortunately got delayed, put off for a year due to some coordination and complications with the railroad crossing and putting traffic signals, coordination with that. So that will tentatively be proposed to be completed next year. And I just want to throw this out there. Dunn County, Eau Claire, and St. Croix counties were awarded a Safe Streets for All grant to implement a traffic safety plan. So that will be something that will start this year. It is part of the BIL program, so that is good news for Dunn County. Unfortunately, we will only be analyzing the county roadways at this time. That's what was approved. So we will not be looking at state or local town roads or city streets. It would just be looking at county roadways. So we can make some determinations and some safety improvements going forward. Other than that, that's all I have on my end.
Thank you, Dustin. Anybody have any questions for Dustin?
Dustin, will that County B be a road closure or just a lane closure?
We are anticipating that to be open to traffic during construction. It is just going to be a pavement replacement, so grinding the asphalt and relaying it basically, so.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Next on the agenda is Brian Johnson, the chair of the Highway Committee, but I don't see him on here this morning. So we will move on to, let's see.
Just a note, Randy Prochnow is taking over as chair of Highway, and I'm guessing that one of us didn't one of us being me, didn't remember to tell him about that. I'll make sure that he's in at the next one.
Thank you, Kelly. Up next, Menominee Police Department, Mr. Hollister.
Nothing at this time, but just to keep in the loop, I guess, as far as for the traffic safety programs with Captain Mayor, staffing wise, we'd be happy to be part of that also. So usually we've done that in the past with Captain McRoberts. As far as for the detours, just if we could get some timeframes on those when they do happen, especially by Fleet Farm, that'd be nice. And traffic, otherwise we're the same as everyone else. Winter conditions, slippery sliding, and I don't have the numbers for you today.
Okay, thank you. Anybody have any questions for the Menominee Police? All right. Up next is Wisconsin State Patrol, Mr. Gray.
Morning. My computer's not cooperating, so I don't have any numbers for you, but I'll just give you an update for those of you that are unaware. There's a trooper that was struck on I-94 Thursday of this past week. He was investigating a crash and a car lost control, ended up striking him. He is doing well. He's got some doctor's appointments this week. He's hoping to come back to work sooner than later. But he's, amazingly doing well. The force hit him so hard that his gun belt and everything came right off him. And so, and I'd also like to thank the Dunn County Highway Department. They've did an outstanding job this year. I've thanked the drivers that I've had contact with, but the interstate has been phenomenal. So Dustin, if you could make sure to pass that word on to everybody. Like I said, any driver I've run into alongside the road, I've thanked them personally. So other than that, I do not have anything else.
Thank you. Any questions for Wisconsin State Patrol? Okay. Next up is Department of Natural Resources, Jamie McDermott.
Yeah, good morning, all. I don't have any updates for the good of the group right now. Thanks.
Thank you. Up next is School Administrators, Mr. Yingst.
Yeah, good morning. I think I speak for all the schools that we're sick of winter and trying to call off school and figure out when we can drive and when we can't. But I appreciate everybody's efforts on the roads. I don't think I've ever seen so much rain in the winter time before. And Obviously, the ice causes a lot of extra problems for everybody, but that's the main thing I have. I did bring donuts for everyone. If you're unable to stop by the school and pick it up this morning, I'll make sure to redistribute it among my staff. But anyway, thanks. That's all I have. And we will be on spring break next week. I know there's several schools on spring break right now. So you may see decreased school bus travel in some areas and some normal. So I guess that's just one of those things. Hit and miss on the calendar. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Don't see any questions. So, Chair McCullough, did you have anything you wanted to say from the county board?
The only thing I would have had to add is to mention Randy taking over. Other than that, I'm just here to listen and make sure that I'm on top of things. Thanks.
Thank you, Kelly. Let's see. Member of the community, Ryan Howe. Anything to say today?
Good morning, everybody. Can I stop following Bill because he takes all my talking points? I was going to reiterate that we're also sick of winter. I talked to Bill last night. We're on spring break this week, so that's kind of nice. I didn't have to get up at 4 o'clock to go check the roads this morning, so I was pretty happy about that. I also want to reiterate that the county and the city of doing a great, and also the township's doing a great job of plowing this year. Obviously, we've had some snow days, but with all the rain and the ice, it just is what it is this winter. And yeah, I'll be happy when it's June.
And Ryan, I'll jump in. I did cover for you this morning. I was up at 4:15 and I was glad to see it was snow and not ice and rain on the ground. So I did think of you this morning. So
I appreciate that, Bill.
Thanks, Ryan. Next up, medical emergency reports. I don't see, is Jenny on here from the Red Cross? We'll go to the next one on the list then. Shanna Knops from First Responders.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Don't really have anything to report out. Did want to recognize, I know we had submitted in an award for one of our first responders. She happened to be at our local Walmart store in Menominee and a customer had collapsed. She jumped right into action. Her family ran out, grabbed her AED. She started compressions. Menominee Fire did arrive on scene and ultimately that patient did survive with a full recovery. So we're going to give her a shout out. We do have about 45 volunteers on our roster right now. So we have a good sized team and again, just wanted to recognize her. We'll have that coming up here in a bit where we recognize her in the community. So that's all I have.
Thank you, and thank you for sharing that. Don't see any questions. So next we'll go to Mayo Clinic Health System, Red Cedar. I don't see Mary on here. So we'll move on to Public Health. Also don't see KT. Anybody?
John, this is Jeff. I'm filling in for KT today from the health department. I don't have anything to add today. Thanks.
Thanks, Jeff. I'll remember that next time, maybe.
That's good. Yeah, maybe. Thanks.
Great. And then for disasters, Melissa Gilgenbach, anything to add today?
Good morning. No, thankfully, we have not had any disasters to talk about. Something that is on our radar, though, is going to be the spring flooding, just with the amount of snow that we have and, some of the rain that we've had in our area. So that is something that we will be watching. Really don't know the impact of that yet, but just that is something we'll be watching and maybe hopefully don't have a report on it the next time we meet. But I did want to introduce a new emergency management employee that we have. We recently hired Russell Bauer to be our emergency management coordinator. It is a part-time position, but he will be with us 25 hours a week to help us. So you may see him, attend these meetings once in a while. Russ, can you pop on and say hi?
Hey, good morning, everyone. Russ here. Yeah, I come from Chippewa County, served with Chippewa County's public safety or the traffic safety committee over there. So yeah, just happy to be here and looking forward to working with you.
Thanks, Russ. That's all I have, John.
Okay, thank you, Melissa.
Mhm.
Welcome, Russ. Nice to meet you on the computer. Okay. So for the medical emergency, highway traffic and safety, is there anyone who has anything to report on that? And we'll get Captain McRoberts retired from this list as well next time. Okay, next is fire departments and EMS.
Good morning. Denny is on vacation, so I'm filling in. Andy Benrud. Not a whole lot to report. It's just been a challenging winter with all the snow and ice, and thanking all the people that maintain those roads. We did have one ambulance that got banged up a little bit on the date that we had all the ice going to a cardiac arrest, but they were able to transport the patient, and that ambulance has since been repaired. Other than that, not a whole lot. Seems that as though we've been having more than normal rollovers on the interstate in the last February and March. I believe we've been on 9 rollovers since that time, and that's about it.
Thank you, Andy. Okay, and last on the list is the UW extension. Is there anybody on from there? All right, well, we'll shelve that one for now. Anybody else have anything that they want to add to these reports, or anything, any comments they'd like to, any announcements here at the end?
Yes, John, I'd like to add something that I guess is a growing concern that county highways are having in general. We've had a number of incidences this year with our plows getting hit or rear-ended on the interstate in particular. We've had a couple of those incidences. We have been faring very well compared to other counties around us. I believe St. Croix has almost 20 plow hits this year, which is a very, very concerning. So Wisconsin County Highway Association is looking into this to see if there's any type of information we can get out to the public. Just to obviously, our plow trucks are out there trying to keep these roads open and obviously try to be on the lookout for them. Thankfully, nobody has been hurt that I am aware of, but just some property damage to these plow trucks is thankfully all that we've had. But it is a growing concern that we are seeing in a very large uptick this past year. So I just want everybody to be aware that it is a concern. So.
Thank you, Dustin. Are most of those from trying to pass the truck or just trailing too close behind?
So some are basically they're trying to pass the truck, and obviously we have wings that are on the sides of the trucks plowing, and they just have a tendency not to see them or get too close. Other times it's just failure to see the plow truck in front of them as they're driving. Obviously, when we are plowing, there's a plume of snow that's usually follows our trucks. So it's just inattentive driving is basically what it boils down to, and too fast for conditions is what most of the time. We are not traveling 65 miles an hour on the interstate in a plow truck, and some people have a tendency to do that even in a snowstorm. So yeah, it's a culmination of different things. So
Well, thanks, Dustin. Yeah, thank you, Patty. I see Linda Bakken is on the call, and do you have anything to report?
That's me. From town
Oh.
of Peru.
Oh,
Just
that's
I'm
you.
sure as my wife. So
Couple calls in there. Okay.
yep. But
Thanks,
thank you.
appreciate it. Well, if there's nothing further, I thank everybody for your time. And the next meeting is June 16th at 9 a.m. And stay tuned for the agenda, and everybody have a good weekend.
See you all next time.
Yep. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.